Hello all, this is all 5 members of the Teen Titans back to back for your convenience. If you've already seen all 5 episodes of the Teen Titans, there's nothing really here for you. You can keep watching though if you want to. I won't stop you. Hello all and welcome back to Time to Dice Character Creation, where we make your favorite fictional characters in Starfinder 2nd Edition. This week we are making the leader of the Teen Titans an all-around cool guy, Robin. Robin grew up performing as a high-flying acrobat until witnessing his parents' death, getting adopted by Batman, and being trained to fight crime and spandex. So, a pretty normal childhood. Robin split off from Batman and intended to strike out a hero gig alone, until he met 4 superpowered individuals with whom he founded the Teen Titans. Robin serves as both the leader and the tactician for the team, often creating plans to get the team out of trouble. So beware of spoilers, and without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so what do we need to play Boy Wonder? Well, first off, despite being one of the weakest members of the team physically, Robin is the leader, and he is the one who calls the shots. Second, Robin was trained by Batman, meaning we need a good deal of hand-to-hand combat experience. And finally, like a Batman, we need a utility belt filled with gadgets and gizmos to help us in any given situation. Alright, for Ancestry, Robin is as basic as they come, with 8 hit points, a boost to strength and dex, and a 25-foot movement speed. It's pretty boring, but it fits. For our heritage, we are going to pick up Galorian Survivor, granting us training in every archaic weapon in the game. In a world with sonic blasters, demon spawn, and starbolts, Robin uses a stick, but he uses it effectively. For our background, we are going to pick up the acrobat background, because Robin was an acrobat. Shocking, I know. This background is going to give us a boost to both dex and con, as well as training in acrobatics and the most powerful skill in the game, circus lore. We also get a steady balance skill feat, in case we ever need to walk across a tightrope. For our class, we're going to pick up Envoy. At the beginning of every fight, you can hear Robin shout, "Titans, go!" making it clear that he is calling the shots. The Envoy class grants us expert in both reflex and will saving throws, reflecting both the physical and mental saves under Batman. We only get trained in fortitude throws though. Robin can definitely take a punch, but he is definitely not on the level of tankiness of Cyborg or Starfire. Skills are a bit of a doozy. Envoys are definitely the skill monkey class in Starfinder. We get training in either deception, intimidation, or diplomacy. Batman's entire shtick is intimidation, so we go with that. We get 6 more skills plus our intelligence, which is more than any other class in the game, and then we get the bonus skill based off our leadership style. For our weapons, we can pick up expert in all simple and martial weapons, and unarmed attacks. Remember, we also get training in all advanced archaic weapons from our Galorian Survivor heritage, and we get training in up to light armor. For our attributes, we are Robin, and he's a bit of an all-arounder. We are going to prioritize dex at a +3, but we are going to spread out the rest of our attribute bonuses into strength, con, and charisma. Wisdom and intelligence don't get an investment, not because Robin is dumb, he is actually a tactical genius, but because we just don't have enough tribute points to spare, and they aren't really needed for this build. For our skills, remember when I said we are skill monkey? We get legendary in acrobatics, athletics, and stealth to represent our peak physical form. For our master skills, we get master in intimidation to jump out and scare the bad guys, deception for feints and the like, society to know our way around Jump City, and thievery to help us pick the locks and the handcuffs of any cute alien girls we meet. Our diplomacy and performance are at expert, diplomacy to help us talk down foes, and performance to reflect our time spent as an acrobat. Our lore skills are both at trained. Circus lore to remember our parents, and earth lore in case we need to explain some things to Starfire. All level 1 envoys get the Get 'em and Social Mastermind features. Social Mastermind lets us spend 10 minutes following developing a plan for a creature called our asset to gain a +1 circumstance bonus to our deception, diplomacy, intimidation, and perception checks against that asset. And whenever we roll an initiative against that asset, not only do we get a +1 circumstance bonus, but we also get a free action to step, stride, or draw a weapon. The Get 'em feature lets us designate a foe within 60 feet in our combat. That foe takes a -1 penalty to its AC against attacks made by our allies until the end of the turn. And if you target that foe with an attack, you deal additional damage equal to your charisma modifier +1, and allies gain a damage bonus equal to 1. We also get leadership style. The lead from the front style lets us get training in athletics and medium armor. Finally, we get both an ancestry feat and a class feat. First off, Robin has plenty of combo moves with other Titans, so let's take cooperative nature to get a +4 bonus to 8 checks. And the Take 'em Alive feat allows all of our allies to make non-lethal attacks without the -2 penalty, and it even works for spells. Robin's most popular media is comics and a cartoon, neither of which are notorious for killing their bad guys off. At level 2, we get the Get In There class feat to give all allies within 100 feet a boost to their speed based off our level. And if you step or stride before the end of your turn, all affected allies can make a reaction to immediately stride up to half their speed. This is your basic Titans Go command. At level 3, we can pick up the Incredible Initiative General feat to get a +2 circumstance bonus to initiative checks. This doesn't stack with our Social Mastermind bonus, but it does give us a better bonus and applies to a creature whom we have not yet made our asset. We also get Adaptive Talent, letting us gain 1 additional skill feat each day, and as we grow in level, we can select more feats up to 3 skill feats at level 15. Finally, for this level, the Wise to the Game feature gives us a +1 circumstance bonus on foes who would try to lie to us or demoralize us, or a +2 if the foe is one of our assets. At level 4, we can pick up the Broadened Assessment feat. Now when we make a foe our asset, the bonus applies to our athletics, acrobatic, and stealth checks, as well as the normal bonuses. At level 5, we get Perception Expertise and Weapon Expertise. No bonus points if you can guess what those do. But we also get an Ancestry feat, Confident Actualization, letting us rely on our confidence in our abilities to roll a skill check or a saving throw twice and take the better of the results. If only Batman had this kind of faith in us. At level 6, we can use the Hurry class feat to cheer an ally within 60 feet, quickening them with an extra action on their turn they can use to step, stride, or interact with an item. However, you can't use this every round, as the ally is immune to Hurry after the first time for 10 minutes. But if you use it effectively, you can save Beast Boy from transforming, running up, and then having no actions to actually do something. At level 7, we get the Quick feat with the Fleet feat, letting us bump our movement speed up by 5 feet. We also get Fortitude Master, which is self-explanatory, and Improvised Mastery, letting us get Master in a skill once per day right before we use that skill. Weapon Specialization boosts our damage based off our proficiency, and Leader Confidence, giving us the Steal Yourself directive. When we use this, an ally can spend an action on their turn to brace themselves, getting extra hit points equal to your Charisma modifier plus half your level. And if you lead by example, you and any allies who brace themselves get a +1 on damaging saving throws for a minute. Level 8 gives us Sidestep class feat, letting us use our reaction to turn any failed attack against us onto a creature adjacent to us. At level 9, we can no longer fail or critical fail in any attempts to aid our allies with the Cooperative Soul feat. We also get Envoy Expertise, boosting our class DC to Expert, and Hidden Agenda, meaning our foes can no longer critically succeed on a check to recall knowledge or sense motive against us. At level 10, when a foe critically hits a foe that we designated with Get 'em, we can use our reaction to get a free strike against that foe as a reaction with the Tag Team feat. Maybe go for a little Sonic Boom action with Cyborg? At level 11, the Toughness feat is like the Pot of Greed card from Yu-Gi-Oh! No one knows what it does. We also get Perception Mastery and Resolve, boosting our will saves to master and counting our successes as critical successes. At level 12, the Ready for Anything helps us when we find ourselves without the team. If we forgo giving our allies a directive, we get an extra reaction to take an envoy reaction, such as Sidestep. This will help when you try to solo Slade. It almost makes trying to solo Slade a good idea. At level 13, we can use Advanced General Training to ensure our Fortitude saves don't fall far behind. We also get Expert Proficiency in Light Armor and Medium Armor with Light Armor Expertise. Plus our Lead from the Front style, we get Mastery in all simple and martial weapons with the Weapon Mastery, and Effortless Influencer means whenever we succeed at an Intimidation, Diplomacy, or Deception check, allies within 60 feet of us get a +1 circumstance bonus to the same skill for a minute, or the bonus doubles if we critically succeed. And finally, we get the Tactical feature, giving us the Show 'em what you got directive. When we use this, we can have Starfire roll twice on her next Starbolt attack. Beast Boy can force a foe who attacks him to roll twice and take the worst result, or re-roll a saving throw. Cyborg can roll twice on his next Computers or Paladin check, and Raven can force a foe to roll twice on the saving throw to her next spell and take the worst result. This is whatever your party is doing. Make them do it better. And if you lead by example, when the ally uses the benefit, they gain tip hit points equal to your level. The Ready to Roll feat at level 14 lets us use directives whenever we roll initiative that lasts until the end of our first turn in combat, but we can lead by example to extend the duration to our next turn instead. This helps alleviate the action tax that comes with giving directives, at least for the first round, where we need to set up the tempo of the fight. At level 15, we get the Prescient Planner General feat. Batman always has the item for the job on his utility belt, and now you can too. We also get Legendary Improvisation, letting us treat a skill as a legendary proficiency once per day. Add this to all of our skills that we are actually legendary in, and we should never be rolling a skill check less than Master. Level 15 also grants us greater weapon specialization for increased damage and reflex mastery, which bumps our proficiency in reflex saves. If you were like me, you probably got tired of the party envoy saying "get 'em" after every round. The Extend Directive class feat at level 16 helps with that, letting you use a free action at the beginning of each turn to extend a directive that you used last round for another round. At level 17, Persistent Confidence lets us use Confident Actualization to reroll saving throws and skill checks once per hour rather than once per day. We also boost our perception to legendary with Incredible Senses, and Indiscernible Agenda lets us beat cheating telepaths at poker, preventing foes from either recalling knowledge or sense motive checks against us. Level 18 adds a new word to our vocabulary with "get 'em." This upgrades our "got 'em" action to not require us to target a single foe, instead targeting all foes within the area. At level 19, we pick up Prescient Consumable, allowing us to keep our Shark Pendant handy, and we get Master with light and medium armor. We also get the Silver Tongue, which lets us reroll one athletic check once per day and take the higher results. This is on top of all our other reroll skill checks and saving throw abilities. Finally, at level 20, we can fully get rid of the action tax by letting us issue a directive with a free action, freeing up your turn to lead by example and do your own cool things. Now that we are finally level 20, we can show our allies how cool we are on our own. Alright, let's look at skills. First off, we have our acrobatic skill. Dive for cover grants us a pit of movement and increase our AC against ranged attacks. Kip up lets us stand back up as a free action without provoking attacks of opportunity, and Catfall lets us use our grappling hook to prevent fall damage. Athletic feats are where we truly shine though. Titan Wrestler lets us take on the likes of Cinderblock. Get Down lets us knock a foe prone to get covered from a ranged attack. Powerful Leap, Quick Jump, and Wall Jump work together to augment our rooftop chase scenes. And Assurance ensures we don't go the way of the Smash Bros. Brawl character and trip over our own feet. And finally, we get Swift Sneak, which lets us follow our foes back to their secret base without giving away our position. Alright, Robin is a pretty heavily equipped character, so let's cover some gear to make your character feel a bit more Robin-esque. Our bow staff can be replicated with a bow staff, but Robin's bow staff can be split apart to wield 2 batons. There is no reason to wield 2 batons at once, but if you want to keep a free hand or wield a different weapon, you can wield this. Robin's birdarangs can be replicated with shurikens. I don't know why you would want to use these rather than, a gun, but Robin knows best, I guess. Robin has a variety of different explosive discs that can be replicated with flash grenades, smoke grenades, and incendiary grenades. But if you want to further reflect your character, you can use frost vials, glue bomb, and goo grenades from the Pathfinder system. We can also pick up the clockwork grappling gun for our grappling hook and a bola for a bolas. Kind of self-explanatory. Alright, let's take a look at what we've made. First off, we have so many ways to put the spotlight on our friends and let them do what they do best even better. Next, we have 3 legendary skills, 3 mastery skills, and a way to convert any skill to legendary for a single roll once per day, on top of which we have Silver Tongues and Confident Actualization to reroll skill checks. We should never fail a skill check. And finally, we have so much equipment, we are bound to have the right tool for any job. And when we don't, that's where Prescient Planner and Prescient Consumable come into play. For cons, this build shines when it's surrounded by allies that it can support, but you're not ready to go to Nightwing just yet, as when you're alone, a lot of your options dry up. Second, the action tags for this build are heavy. Pretty much every round you have to issue a directive and lead by example, giving you only one action to do your own thing, and with no way to quicken yourself, that can feel a little restricting. And finally, we are a melee build. We have a lot of thrown weapons, but no way to compete with foes who may want to snipe us. Let's be glad the show nerfed Deathstroke to Slade, or we'd be in serious trouble. Hello, Earthlings, and welcome back to Time to Dice Character Creation, where we make your favorite characters in Starfinder 2nd Edition. The Starfinder playtest came out, and we here at Time to Dice couldn't be more excited to bring you a new slew of fictional characters that we can now build. So we are going to start off with the one and only Princess Coriander, or as she's better known, Starfire. Starfire was heir to the Tamarinian throne before her homeworld was attacked, and she was sold into slavery and experimented on. Through these experiments, Starfire developed the ability to fire starbolts, destructive blasts of ultraviolet energy. She used these powers to escape captivity to Earth, where she became a founding member of the Teen Titans. So with that out of the way, beware of spoilers, and without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so what is the essence of Starfire? For this build, we need to be able to shoot ultraviolet energy blasts to anyone who looks at us funny. We also need to fly at a supersonic speed. Okay, maybe not supersonic, but we should be speedy. And finally, Tamaranians are a warrior race who are both super strong and bulletproof, so we need at least a little combat training. Though Starfire appears to be human, she is actually a humanoid alien species that can absorb ultraviolet radiation to further their powers. Tamaranians are not an ancestry in Starfinder, which is great because it gives us here at Time to Die's headquarters the ability to choose which ancestry most accurately reflects Tamaranians. And the answer is pretty obvious. The Sheer and Raws have a high amount of hit points to reflect Tamaranians' bulletproof skin. They get a Constitution and Wisdom boost, as well as a free boost that we can use to boost our strength. We also get a flaw to Charisma because Starfire is not great with the words. We get a 25-foot movement speed and the Winged Sheeran heritage, which will eventually let us get flight. Is there anything that doesn't fit? Oh, we also get limited telepathy, letting us communicate silently with creatures within 30 feet as long as we share a language. We can just call this a really advanced comm unit and move on. For our background, we are going to take Recluse background, reflecting our time in exile from our homeworld before we came to Earth. With this, we get another boost to both strength and con, and training in both survival and Tamaranian royalty lore. We also get the dubious knowledge skill feat. Starfire has heard many things about life on Earth. Not many of them are true, though. For our class, Silurian seems like an easy pick, letting us shoot energy blasts with the power of a star. All Silurians get expert in perception and both reflex and will saves, reflecting the training Tamaranians receive in both mind and body. In addition, we are going to pick up training in 3 plus our int skills of our choice, plus athletics, and one other skill based off our stellar arrangement. As for weapons, we mainly rely on energy blasts, but before she was experimented on, Starfire picked up a range of combat training, granting us trained proficiency in all simple and martial weapons as well as unarmed attacks. We also get up to medium armor, but Starfire gets the female armor design in the comics, so we may have to do a bit of reflavoring. For our attributes, we will be pouring everything we possibly can into strength. Starfire is physically the strongest member of the Teen Titans. Next, we have the Constitution score of a +3 to reflect our bulletproof skin and general tankiness. Our Dexterity and Wisdom are next. Dexterity for the high-flying stunts that Starfire is constantly able to pull off, and Wisdom because she has a lot of lived experience for someone still so young to be in the Teen Titans. For skills, we are maxing out our athletics and acrobatics at Legendary. These are your most basic combat skills. We get Master in Diplomacy. Starfire fell to Earth causing utter destruction and was still able to convince 4 superpowered strangers into founding the Teen Titans. Well, 3 superpowered strangers and Robin, who is just a regular stranger. We will end up getting expert in Intimidation. Other planets' customs are hard, but here's a hint. If her eyes are green and you're in her way, maybe you should think about changing that. Finally, we get trained in Survival to find our way in space in Tamaranian lore. This could be a bit higher, but a lot has changed since you've been gone, and let's be honest, I don't think it's going to come up that often. Alright, are you ready? First build of a new class in a new system. Get excited. All Silurians get to pick up a stellar arrangement at level 1. Starfire gets her abilities from absorbing ultraviolet light, so I think the radiant arrangement works best for our needs. This lets us use the stellar attunement action to become photon attuned. And while we are attuned, we can use the initial revelation, Supernova, to burn out like a star, forcing all foes within a 15-foot emanation to make a basic fortitude save or take a d8 fire per level we have and be blinded for a round, or a minute on a critical failure. And to make things even better, we can extend the range to a 30-foot emanation at the cost of turning the d8s to d6s. After we use this action, however, we become graviton attuned, meaning we either need to attune back to photons or not use our Starfire-themed abilities. And if you want to be a bit more responsible with your photon powers, we have 3 solar manifestations that we can use instead. The solar shot lets us fire an energy beam up to 30 feet, dealing 1d6 fire damage and catching the foe on fire. The solar nimbus gives us a reaction that we can use whenever we make a melee attack, making the attacker take damage up to half our level. And the solar weapon is a weapon that we can use whenever we are attuned. For Starfire, I picture this as just an energy-fueled punch in a brawling group with the free hand and shove traits. We also get an ancestry feat and a class feat at level 1. For our ancestry feat, we can take Linguistic Prodigy, giving us 2 new languages, as well as another new language if we ever take the multilingual feat. No kissing random strangers required. For our class feat, Stellar Rush lets us move twice with a 10-foot boost to our movement speed. This does cycle you out of your current attunement, however, or if you are already Graviton attuned, this could be a quick way to attune back to photons in the same action you close in on a new enemy. At level 2, we get the class feat Shattering Impact, giving us yet another way to burn up our stored energy. This time we take 2 actions to make a single strike with our solar weapon, and if the strike hits, its damage dice is increased by 1 step, and if we were photon attuned, the enemy takes bursts into flames. If you are new here, we also get a skill feat at this level, but I cover all the skill feats at the end of the video, so not to break up the momentum of the more powerful and, in my opinion, cooler class feats. And now that the momentum is undoubtedly broken, we can move into level 3, giving us a general feat Toughness. What? You didn't think a new system was going to stop us from giving all our characters toughness, did you? We also get Indomitable Body and Mind, boosting our Fortitude save to Expert and letting us change our current attunement whenever we make a successful Fortitude or Will save against the Mental or Incapacitation trait. We can change our current attunement. Level 4 Solarians can pick up the Plasma Ejection feat, letting us unleash a burst in a 10-foot emanation or a 30-foot line. Every foe in the area must make a basic reflex save or take 3d6 fire damage, or 3d8 if you're photon attuned. This also has the cycle trait, so be prepared to have to reattune to photons after this action. At level 5, we get a boost to our proficiency in all simple and martial weapons to Expert. We also get the basic Insectile Flight, letting us take an action to focus on the feeling of unbridled joy to gain a flight speed equal to 10 plus our land speed for 10 minutes. Technically speaking, this comes from wings that we can be flavored away. Just keep in mind that we cannot use this ability to fly in space. At level 6, we can take the Solar Barrage class feat, letting us fire off 2 solar shots against 2 separate targets with only a -2 penalty. This still contributes to multiple attack penalties normally though, so don't expect to be hitting a 3rd strike anytime soon. Not that we could, as this action has the Disharmony trait, meaning immediately we lose our attunement after using it. At level 7, we get Weapon Specialization, giving us a damage boost to every attack we make with a weapon we are trained in. We also get the Fleet feat, increasing our movement speed by 5 feet, and therefore our fly speed as well. And finally, we get the Pensive Assessor feature, increasing our perception proficiency to Master, as well as giving us a further +2 bonus to perception checks for initiative. At level 8, we get the Reactive Strike feature, meaning whenever foes try to get away from us or use ranged weapons in melee, we get a free melee strike on them. Level 9 gives us Advanced Insectile Flight, meaning we constantly have joy on our mind and we can fly as long as we want. We also get the Advanced Revelation Solar Wind. Now, while we are photon attuned, we get a +10-foot status bonus to our speed and can move through a single unwilling creature with each stride we make. Finally, at this level, we get Willful Defiance, boosting our will saves to Master, and boosting any successes on will saves against mental or incapacitation effects that we get to critical successes. Level 10 gives us the Solar Shield feat, letting us raise an energy shield, giving ourselves a +1 to AC. We can also shield block with it, but while we are photon attuned, the shield has no hardness. Instead, when the shield is destroyed adjacent enemies, it must make a Fortitude save or be dazzled or blinded on a critical failure. At level 11, we get Armor Expertise, boosting our armor proficiency to Expert, and Incredible Initiative, which stacks with Pensive Assessor to get a +3 to Initiative. Level 12 gives us the feat Covering Flare, letting us stride twice and make a solar shot. If the shot hit, the foe is suppressed. For all you new to the system, a suppressed creature takes a -1 penalty to all strikes and a 5-foot penalty to all speeds. At level 13, we get Solarian Weapon Mastery, boosting our proficiency to Master, as well as the Ancestry feat Linguistic Mastery, letting us cast True Speech on ourselves to understand any language. At level 14, we get Unstable Flare upgrades to our Solar Barrage. Now we can make an attack against a creature within a 15-foot burst, and we become concealed to each foe we target until the end of our next turn. Level 15, we get quite a bit. The Feather Step General feat lets us step in difficult terrain. Controlled Body boosts our reflex saves to Master, and boosts our successful reflex saves to critical successes. Greater Weapon Specialization boosts our already boosted damage even further. And finally, The Greater Revelation Big Bang lets us fill a 30-foot emanation with an energy blast, forcing all creatures in the area to make a reflex save, or take 10d6 fire damage and 2d6 persistent fire damage on a failure. At level 16, we pick up Attuned Blow, letting us make a solar shot or strike with our solar weapon every time we attune ourselves. Starfire is always up to learn something new. So at level 17, we can pick up the Learning Experience Ancestry feat. This allows us to automatically fail a check to end persistent damage we are taking in exchange for taking half damage. In addition, when we do this, we can make a Recall Knowledge check about the source of the persistent damage. At level 18, we can pick up Stellar Paragon, meaning whenever a foe hits us, they take 3d6 fire damage, provided if we are photon attuned. At level 19, we pick up the general feat Fast Recovery, as our alien biology fights off Earth diseases at twice the rate of most. We also get Solar Paradigm, increasing our Solarian DC to Master, and proficiency with our solar weapon to Legendary. Finally, at level 20, we get the feat Cosmic Alignment, making us permanently quickened as long as we use the extra action to Photon Attune, make a solar shot, or strike with our solar weapon. Alright, let's take a look at Starfire's skill feats. First up are acrobatic feats. Catfall prevents us from taking damage as we fall, crucial for any flying hero. And Kip Up ensures that when we do find ourselves prone, we are able to re-enter the battle immediately. For our athletics feats, Deadlift and Titan Wrestler help us secure our spot as strongest Titan. Switch places and Get Down lets us move our allies into more advantageous spots, and Assurance saves us from the worst curse one can suffer in a TTRPG, bad rolls. We get the Group Impression skill feat to convince the team to look past our weird alien habits, and finally we get the Intimidation feats, Intimidating Glare and Intimidating Prowess, because the only thing scarier than a woman's eyes turning green is when that same woman crushes a car with her bare hands. Now that we've finished this build, let's take a look at how it works. First off, with legendary proficiency in our solar weapons and adding our strength to our solar shots, we are dealing more than enough damage to go around. And with a speed of 40 feet or a fly speed of 50 feet, enemies are going to have a hard time escaping us. And finally, we have Master Armor proficiency added to our Solar Shield and our Solar Nimbus. We are about to be as hard to take down as the tanks we hit like. However, this build does have its weaknesses. For starters, we are only living up to about half our full potential. You'll notice we only really talked about being photon attuned and only brought up being graviton attuned when it's getting it out of the way. While that may be the best way to play Starfire, being graviton attuned gives you a lot of additional options that you just don't get if you're limiting yourself to only photon attunement. Also, every attack we have deals fire damage. You know, the most resisted damage type in the game. Maybe not the best basket to store all our eggs in. Finally, we are a bug person. All the abilities line up perfectly, but no matter what, that is a massive flavor fail. Unless that is you want to be playing Starfire during her Tamaranian transformation.
Hello all, and welcome back to Time to Dice Character Creation, where we make your favorite characters at Starfinder 2nd Edition. That's right, we're back with more Starfinder content, and this time we're making Cyborg, the tech specialist of the Teen Titans. Cyborg was a star athlete before an accident killed his mother and gravely injured him. Luckily, or unluckily depending on who you ask, Cy was able to be saved by his father, who replaced all of his damaged body parts with cybernetic parts. Cyborg survived at the cost of being embarrassed of his new appearance and unable to fit in socially. That is, until he met the Teen Titans, who he joined to fight crime and do good. So without further ado, beware of spoilers, and let's get started. Alright, so what do we need to be a cyborg? The first thing that most people think of when they think of Cyborg is the sonic blasters integrated into his arms to kick villains' butts. Well, actually the first thing they probably think of is him being half normal, boring human and half miracle of science. So let's do that. Finally, let's make sure that we can contribute to combat, not just with our super strength and big guns, but also with our brain, being able to effectively use any tech items that come our way. Alright, so for the ancestry, I have a bit of explaining to do. Not from my choice, I feel the custom mixed ancestry to be half human, half robot fits perfectly and needs no explanation, but I do need to explain our decision to use Pathfinder content in all of our Starfinder builds. As some of you may have noticed, the automaton is not one of the ancestries in Starfinder 2e. Starfinder and Pathfinder are different games, and the developers have made very clear that their intentions are not to make Starfinder feel simply like Pathfinder in space. That being said, they have also made clear their intentions to make the games completely cross-compatible, so that you can play a Conan the Barbarian type character in your Starfinder games without any rules problems. Not all GMs will let you use the two systems, and we understand that. However, we here at Time to Dice strive to make our characters as accurate as possible, and character bending genres is a pretty common trope. Besides, we already use uncommon and rare options without any regard, and those require GM permission, so this isn't exactly breaking new ground. Whenever we use an option from across the system barrier, we will put an alternate option for what you can pick if you have a GM who's a stickler for only using one system in the top left corner here. So as Cyborg, we are going to be a half human, half automaton. That gets us 8 hit points and a boost to both strength and dex, and a 25-foot movement speed. We also get a cool robotic eye that gives us low light vision, at the cost of being unable to select a heritage. For a background, before Cy was a technological monster, he was a monster on the football field. So we're going to go with the athlete background, giving us a boost to both strength and dex, and the deadlift skill feat. For our class, I originally had Cyborg built as a soldier. I had a build where he went all the way up to level 20, then went to select a weapon, only to realize there are no sonic area weapons, at least not any that are not advanced, invalidating the entire build. So, Cyborg is an operative. It's not all bad. We start out better at perception, starting expert, and we get expert in reflex saves and only trained in the other saving throws. That's not quite as defensive as I'd like, but we can pick up something for that later. We also get 3 plus int skills of our choice, plus a bonus skill for our operative specialization. Our offenses are a bit better. We get trained in all simple and martial weapons, same as the soldier, but we get expert in all guns. And finally, we only get trained in light armor. Overall, operative is a much more offensive class, so as long as we can pick up our defenses early in the build, we should be fine. For our attributes, our primary stats are going to be strength and dex. Turns out, cybernetic enhancements let you really kick butt at the Olympics. We're also going to pick up a little bit of investment in constitution, charisma, and intelligence. Cyborg is durable, smart, and seems like a cool dude to play video games with. For our skills, we're going to get legendary in computers. That's kind of a must when you have a heartbeat that needs a factory reset every once in a while. We're also going to end up master in athletics, acrobatics, and piloting, so that we can hold our own both on the battlefield and in a starship. And we're going to pick up training in crafting and thievery, allowing us to be a good mechanic and disable enemy traps. Alright, level 1. All operatives get the sharpshooter feature, giving us the aim action. With this, we can take an action to lock onto our target until the end of the turn. When we hit the enemy, we deal an extra d4 precision damage and lower any circumstance penalty they were benefiting from cover by 1. We also get mobile reload, letting us reload and strider step in the same action. And finally, we get an operative specialization. The skirmisher specialization lets us get training in acrobatics as well as the catfall skill feat, as well as use ranged one-handed weapons in melee without provoking reactive strikes. Finally, we get the hair trigger reaction, letting us make a strike on a creature within our first range increment that uses a move, manipulate, or makes a ranged attack. This is insanely good, basically letting us get a reactive strike whenever the foe does anything to combat us. As a martial, we also get a class feat and an ancestry feat. The instinctive aim feat lets us draw a gun and aim in the same action, giving us even further action compression. And finally, we can pick up the augmented ancestry feat in order to get dermal plating, a cybernetic enhancement, granting us resistance to physical damage. If you keep this upgraded all the way up to level 20, we can actually knock off 9 damage from any physical attack against us. That's not much, but it's definitely worth a level 1 ancestry feat. At level 2, our scanners pick up enemies and hazards before they become a problem, with a +1 circumstance bonus to perception checks to find hidden, undetected, or unnoticed creatures, and a +1 circumstance bonus to our defenses against those same creatures. Also, our scanners can run in the background, letting us make a check for hidden objects even if we're not actively searching. At level 3, we're going to pick up a little known general feat that we don't use nearly enough on this channel: Toughness, granting us a number of additional hit points equal to our level. We also get the Focused feature, boosting our will saves to expert, and on the move, boosting our movement speed by 5 feet, plus another 5 feet for every 5 levels after, granting us master proficiency in our guns and letting us apply the critical specialization on all of our weapons that we at least have expert proficiency in. For our sonic weapons, that means when we crit, that enemy must make a fortitude save or be deafened for a minute. Deafened is one of the weaker conditions, but it can cause trouble for creatures that use echolocation to see. We also get Urban Operator, letting us ignore difficult terrain from crowds and trash, and treating greater difficult terrain from those same things as difficult terrain. Finally, we get the Ancestry feat, letting us take integrated armament, turning our arm into a boom pistol. Cyborg used to love pushing past his limits, but his robotic parts can't do that so easily without breaking down. We can reflect this at level 6 with the feat Kick It into Overdrive. With this, once per hour, we can choose to become quickened for 1 or 2 rounds, with the condition that if we choose 2 rounds, we immediately become fatigued for 2 rounds after that duration ends, as our circuits cool down. At level 7, we get Operative's Edge, granting us a +2 circuits bonus to initiative rolls. It's hard to get the drop on the guy who can do a full infrared scan on the battlefield in seconds. We also get Weapon Specialization at this level, giving us a +2 to our damage rolls, and a +3 if we're Master in that weapon. Our Operative's Reflexes boosting our reflex saves to Master, as well as boosting our successful reflex saves to critically successful reflex saves. And finally, we get a General feat. We're going to take the general feat Ancestral Paragon to pick up the Ancestry feat Natural Ambition to pick up the class feat Mobile Aim, allowing us to stride in the same action that we aim. We can now stride and reload in the same action, or aim and stride in the same action. Basically, what I'm hearing is that as long as we don't stop moving, our action taxes go away, just like real taxes. At level 8, we get an ability Lesser Augmentation, letting us combine both of our boom pistol arms to form a Screamer. We also get the Skirmisher's Enhanced exploit, boosting our damage and turning the lowest damage dice we roll into the maximum possible. This only works with one-handed weapons though, so we can't use it with our new Screamer. And finally, our Fortitude saves go to Master with Operative's Resilience. At level 10, we get Impeding Shot, letting us aim and make a ranged shot at the same target. If we hit with that shot, the foe gets slowed 1 and falls 10 feet. No one will be running around tearing up our neighborhood. At level 11, we can pick up the General feat. The Augmented feat gives us another cybernetic enhancement, specifically Nano Optics mode, lets us use X-ray vision to see through walls. But the added stimulus gives us a -2 perception checks while it's activated. On top of that, Operative's Expertise boosts our Class DC to Expert, and Masterful Advance lets us move full speed while using Tactical Advance. By level 12, your GM probably found out that the best attacks you have are all sonic based, so they probably started throwing creatures with sonic resistances at you to push you out of your comfort zone. But your comfort zone is comfortable, and the overwhelming shot feat will let you blast through the opponent's sonic resistances. No thinking outside the box required. At level 13, we can take the Astral Blink Ancestry feat, letting us use our Boom Tube technology to cast Translocate once per hour. We can also boost our proficiency saves with guns to Legendary and our armor proficiency to Expert. At level 14, we get the class feat Fish in a Barrel, letting us target a creature who's either prone or immobilized. If we hit, we crit instead, and if we crit originally, the foe is off guard and suppressed until the beginning of our next turn. Try to coordinate with Robin's Bolas or Beast Boy knocking a foe over. At level 15, Die Hard lets us die at dying 5 rather than dying 4. Not very interesting, and hopefully it won't come up that often, so it's a good thing we also get another damage boost with Glitter Weapon Specialization, and Critical Aim, letting us deafen our foes that we aimed at, even without a critical hit. At level 16, we can reload as a free action once per round with Instant Reload. I think that once a round restriction is fine, considering you get 5 shots before you have to reload, and I don't think you're going to go through that in just one round. At level 17, our human half lets us push past the edge where our machine half would have long since failed, with too stubborn to die, letting us come back from the dead once per day, ready for another round. Literally. We also get Resolve, boosting our will saves to Master, and Tactical Barrage, reducing our multiple attack penalty by 2. At level 18, we can run in with guns blazing with the class feat Tactical Assault, letting us stride up to twice, as well as make 3 strikes against targets within our first range increment, with no multiple attack penalty. This is perfect for those times when Slade surrounds you with those little robot guys. At level 19, we boost our Fortitude to Master with the general feat Canny Acumen, as well as our proficiency with all weapons and Perception to Legendary with Incredible Senses and Galaxy Renown. And the icing on the cake, our armor proficiency is boosted to Armor with Master Proficiency. And finally, at level 20, with Infinite Aim, we can aim as a free action, meaning there is no reason to ever hit an unaimed at creature with a standalone action ever again. Alright, let's move on to skill feats now that the level by level is out of the way. Our Skirmisher specialization gives us quite a few acrobatic skill feats as we progress, namely Catfall to help us avoid fall damage, Dive for cover, allowing us to take cover on the ground with a bit of added movement, Sniper Stance to avoid penalties while we're prone, and Kip Up to get back into the action when we're tired of being prone. Most of our regular skill feats we're going to put into Athletics to show Cyborg's physical enhancements. Deadlift and Powerful Leap allow us to use our super strength to lift and jump. Titan Wrestler lets us go head to head with bigger, meaner robots. Switch places lets us take fire for the squishier titans like Raven or Robin, and get down lets us provide them with an extra layer of safety. We can also reflect Cyborg's skills with tech with skill feats like Combat Hack, letting us give technological enemies the glitching condition, with Digital Diversion to move foes' attention elsewhere, and Fraker to get into a computer without hacking gear. And finally, it's not just computers that Cyborg has his ways with. He can also use piloting skill feats like Power Slide, Stunt Maneuver, and Push It to allow Cyborg piloting of everything from the T-Ship to the T-Car, and probably other vehicles that don't start with T. Alright, let's look into the pros and cons of this build. First off, we're an absolute tank, able to beat the artillery up at close or at a range. Next, we're a tank, with massive proficiency in all our defenses, plus successes as critical successes in both reflex and will, and thermal plating granting us resistance to physical damage. And finally, we're a tank, and like a tank, we don't care about anything in our way, as we travel down streets completely oblivious to difficult terrain. We do have a fair share of cons, however. First off, we are a tank. And like a tank, you won't see us having much in the way of movement options, so don't expect us to be flying to the rescue anytime soon. Next, we're a tank, meaning if a foe is resistant to our main form of attack, that being sonic damage, we may be in trouble. We can still hit the foe, that's just not quite as efficient. And finally, we're a tank, meaning that we have to pay action tax cost? Okay, I tried to make that metaphor work all the way through. Operatives are really strong, but as a result of that strength, we usually have to dedicate a couple of actions to setting up, at least until we can get the right action compression feats. Hello all, and welcome back to Time to Dice Character Creation, where we make your favorite fictional characters in Starfinder 2nd Edition. This week, we're finishing up our coverage of the Teen Titans with Raven. Raven is the daughter of Trigon, an all-powerful demon in the DC universe. Raven holds a prophecy over her head that she will one day serve as the bridge between Trigon and our world, heralding in the end of days. Luckily, Raven wasn't super excited about being the harbinger of the apocalypse, and did everything she could to flee her destiny. Raven serves her role in the Teen Titans as resident creepy girl and expert on all things magical. So beware of spoilers, and without further ado, let's get started. So if we want to make Raven, there are a couple boxes we need to check. First off, we need to be the daughter of an all-powerful demon bent on destroying the world. Would you believe that's the easiest thing on the checklist? Second, we need to get the powers of being said child, like telepathy, telekinesis, teleportation, and probably some other abilities that don't start with tele. And finally, we need to make our emotional trauma the problem of everyone else. Raven is a human, or at least half human, with all the versatility that comes with it. That means an attribute boost to both wisdom and charisma, and 8 hit points. However, because of our peculiar parentage, we can take the Nephilim versatile heritage, to be half demon. If Raven wanted to, she could use this to get all sorts of cool powers, but Raven spends most of her time trying to keep her demon half locked into a tiny box, so don't expect this to be used too much. For our background, Raven spends a large amount of time seeing visions from the past, present, and future in her meditations, so we're going to go with a Dream Prophet background, giving us another boost to wisdom and charisma. We also get training in occultism and Azarath lore, and the Schooled in Secret skill feat, so that we can see other worshippers of Trigon. Most people see half human, half demon child, and immediately jump to something like demonic sorcerer or witch, but we here at Time to Dice know that Raven is a classic example of a mystic. Her empathic abilities allow her to make a connection with the world around her, and she can use this connection to alter that world. As a mystic, the only improved starting proficiency we get is expert in will saves, which reflects our training controlling our emotions, so at least it's a good fit. Our perception, fortitude, and reflex saves are all only trained, but at least we do get trained in 3 plus our intelligence modifier, plus 1 skill based off of whatever connection we end up picking. We also get trained in simple weapons and light armor, not that that's something we're going to use often. For our attributes, all of Mystic's abilities are based off of their wisdom, so we're going to put the most investment into that. We will also invest heavily into charisma for something we're going to pick up later. And finally, we'll use our remaining points for intelligence and constitution. Intelligence because Raven is the bookworm of the group, and constitution because while Raven is definitely more invested into the mental side than the physical, she can still definitely take a hit. For our skills, we're going to put all of our skill increases into the magical skills, Arcana, Occultism, and Religion. We don't quite get enough to invest in nature, but that makes sense. Raven and Beast Boy don't get along that much anyway. We also get expert in stealth, mostly because blue is easy to blend into the darkness, as well as trained in deception, diplomacy, and intimidation, just enough to end a conversation as quickly as possible. We also get Azarath lore, and finally, piloting lets us steer our portion of the T-ship. Okay, let's jump into level 1. All mystics get a connection that they use to harness their magical powers. The Shadow connection gives us access to the Divine spell list, and gives us the Shadow Snap focus spell. This spell has two uses, which both need a bit of reflavoring to really fit the character. We can either use our magic to make a spell attack roll against an opponent, dealing 1d10 cold damage, or next time the opponent uses a move or manipulate action, or attacks with a ranged weapon, we can attempt to disrupt that action with a spell attack roll. We can also sustain the spell for up to a minute, and each time we do, we can change our choice. Also at level 1, we get access to a Vitality Network, giving us access to a pool of hit points that we can use to either heal our allies or fuel our powers. Healing isn't one of Raven's most iconic powers, but she has been seen healing as early as the first episode in Teen Titans. We also get an Ancestry feat. The Nephilim Eyes feat grants us dark vision for all that time Raven spends reading by candlelight. And finally, we get access to spellcasting. I feel like it's been a long time since we've built a spellcaster for the channel, and it's our first time building one for the Starfinder system. We get 5 cantrips and 4 rank 1 spells by the end of this build, but we're only going to cover the most important ones, otherwise we'd be here all day. For our cantrips, the Figment cantrip comes from our Shadow connection, and lets us create simple visual or auditory illusions. It will not let us turn Titan's Tower into a haunted house filled with monsters that eat our friends one by one until we accept our fear. That comes later. We also get Detect Thoughts, letting us use our empathic powers to sense thoughts within 30 feet, possibly alerting us to enemies or giving us an edge in interrogations. And the Eldritch Lance lets us project our emotional baggage onto a foe, dealing 3d6 mental damage with a spell attack roll. As for our first rank spells, Grim Tendrils lets us spew forth demonic tentacles, dealing 2d4 void damage and 1 persistent bleed damage to everything in a 60-foot line. And Mind Skewer lets us assault our opponent's mind, inflicting 2d6 mental damage on a creature within 60 feet, and possibly leaving them stupefied if they critically fail their will save. Moving on to level 2, the Deity's Domain feat gives us the Cloak of Shadow focus spell from the Darkness domain. This lets us drape a willing creature in dim light. The creature can hide in the darkness, but the emanation moves with them, so opponents have a clue of where they are. That is, unless they use an action to drop the cloak where they stand, and then they can move away. Level 3 gives us the Incredible Initiative General feat, giving us a +2 to all of our initiative checks, allowing us to support our allies before enemies turn them to paste. Our Reflex save is also increased to Expert with Reflex Expertise, and we get the class feature Group Chat, letting all members of our Vitality Network know the direction and general well-being of all other creatures in the network, as long as they're on the same plane. And as long as they're within 120 feet of us, we can use the Force Connection action, allowing us to select an ally to either be excluded from our next spell or be the only one affected. We also get second rank spells at this level. The new Soul Surge spell from the playtest lets us sacrifice 6 hit points from either ourselves or the Vitality Network in order to do 66 spirit damage to a foe. That's a fireball's worth of damage, all for only 6 measly hit points. We also get the Clear Mind spell, letting us counteract an effect that makes us frightened, fleeing, or stupefied, as long as we can make the counteract check. And as we level up, we can add Confused, Controlled, Slowed, Doomed, and Stunned to the list of conditions that we can get rid of. We can use our Telekinesis to interfere with a foe trying to attack us at level 4 with the Mental Interference class feat, allowing us to pay 2 hit points from our Vitality Network in order to give the foe a penalty to attack rolls and will saves until the end of the round, or until they spend an action to clear their head. Action economy is king in Pathfinder 2e, so giving up one action to possibly take an action from the opponent is good value, especially if you outnumber your opponents. At 5th level, we can pick up the Adapted Cantrip Ancestry feat to add Mage Hand to our spell repertoire at the cost of one of your current cantrips. I would say get rid of the Daze spell, as it doesn't give much value past low levels anyway. We also get Fortitude Expertise, boosting our Fortitude saves to Expert. Oh, and rank 3 spells. So let's go ahead and cover those. The Share Pain spell lets us share our pain with the opponents, inflicting 3d12 mental damage and possibly making the foe clumsy. Void Whispers lets us expose our enemies to the dark secrets of the universe, causing foes to wander around aimlessly on a failed will save. Those of you paying attention to the little graphics we put on the side of the screen may have noticed we pick up an extra couple of spells each rank. That's because at level 6, we pick up the Child of the Twilight Eclipse feat to pick up a few extra darkness spells at ranks 1, 2, 3, and 7. At level 7, the Shadow Connection gives us Cloying Shadows, letting us attack our foes with our own shadows. We also bump our spell casting proficiency with Expert Spellcaster. All that meditating gives us Breath Control General feat, letting us hold our breath for a very long time. Hey, we're building Raven here, not power building. Finally, we get rank 4 spells at this level. Fly is a must-have spell so that we can always levitate a couple of inches off the ground, but the Eldritch Wrath spell is much cooler, letting us finally lose control and unleash your demonic wrath on all creatures within a 20-foot burst, as long as that burst is within 120 feet. Level 8 lets us split our personality into several different colored versions of us with the Tripartite Mind feat. And if we spend 6 points from our Vitality Network, we can attempt to push any case of controlled, confused, fleeing, frightened, or stupefied conditions onto one of those duplicates instead of us. At level 9, we can pick up the Multi-Talented Ancestry feat to pick up the Psychic Dedication using that charisma we've been investing in, giving us access to the Telekinetic Projectile cantrip. And its range is boosted to 60 feet, and we can spend a focus point to increase the damage and push a foe around on a successful hit. We also get Resilient Soul, boosting our will saves to master, and counting our successes as critical successes. And, once again, we get another rank of spells. Umbral Journey comes from our Shadow Connection, and almost reflects when Raven turns into that Shadow Raven version of herself to travel long distances. And the Shadow Blast spell lets us throw all sorts of things at our opponent, dealing damage in an area based off of what we pick. And finally, we can pick up the Banishment spell to deal with their dad if he ever makes a move on our world. At level 10, we can go back a few levels to pick up the Network Shield feat. With this, when we get hit by an attack, you can pay a number of hit points from your Vitality Network equal to your level, to gain resistance equal to twice your level. Also, at level 11, we can pick up Shadow Prison, letting us throw up a portal to swallow up our foe. We get Weapon Expertise, boosting our weapon proficiency with simple weapons to Expert, in case you need to punch somebody for some reason. And finally, we get rank 6 spells. We can use the Repulsion spell to get some distance from enemies, or to keep our allies out of danger. Or, if you want to fully go into the Trigon route, you can pick up the Ravenous Darkness spell, letting us open up a portal to another plane, unleashing darkness and gnawing shadows on anything within a 20-foot burst. Speaking of darkness, we get Covert Illumination at level 12 to snuff out any light source and convert that light source into points for Vitality Network. At level 13, we can pick up the Ancestry feat Inner Wellspring, allowing us to spend a single action to regain a focus point. We have a lot of powerful focus spells in this build, so this is going to help us quite a bit. We also get Armor Expertise, boosting our armor proficiency to Expert. Another couple of levels, another rank of spells. Void Scour lets us snuff out light sources, dealing void damage and possibly draining our foes. We can also pick up Inexhaustible Cynicism, letting us bring down the mood even more than we normally do when we enter the room. At level 14, we can pick up the archetype Psi Development to get the Telekinetic Rend spell, letting us unleash your telekinesis on 2 different bursts at once, dealing 5d6 bludgeoning or slashing damage at this point. At level 15, we can pick up the Die Hard feat, allowing us to push past our limits and survive until dying 5. We also get Master Proficiency in Spellcasting with the Master Spellcasters. We also get rank 8 spells. The Divine Armageddon spell lets us unleash total destruction, but the Canticle of Everlasting Grief spell lets us play a little bit more of a debuff role for when we need to take out the bad guy without leveling a city block. Although, if we're being honest, the Teen Titans are definitely not the people for preserving city blocks. At level 16, we can get the basic Thought Form class feat from the Psychic archetype to get the Psychic Rapport feat. Is level 16 a little bit late to pick up a level 1 Psychic feat? Yes. Yes, it is. At level 17, we can stand up to our father with the 2 Stubborn to Die feat, letting us come back at 1 hit points if we should ever die. The feat doesn't say you have to revert back to a child when you can do this, but it doesn't say you can't. We also get rank 9 spells. The Foresight spell lets us see brief images of the future, and the Phantasmagoria spell lets us inflict mental damage on any number of creatures within 120 feet. At level 19, we finally live up to our full potential with the Legendary Spellcaster feature. We also get Perfect Harmony, allowing us to teleport to a location within dim light or darkness, and whenever we transfer vitality to an ally, they can use this action once before the end of their next turn. And finally, we get the Transcendence feature, granting us our one and only 10th rank spell. The Gate spell lets us open a portal to our Father's realm. Not sure why you'd want to do that, but now it's possible. And finally, at level 20, we get the Enlightenment class feature, upgrading our Vitality network to hold a maximum of 200 hit points, and regain 20 hit points per turn, and allowing us to bond with any number of willing creatures. Alright, now that we're level 20, let's take a look at our skill feats. Raven is a specialist when it comes to Arcana on the team. Arcane Sense will help her discover if magic is being used by the enemy, and Arcane Intuition will help her know how to interrupt that magic. She also gets Universal Theory, allowing Raven to use Arcana in place of any of the other magical skills. We're already legendary in Occultism and Religion, but this will help us understand Primal Magic. Moving on to the Occult feats, Read Psychometric Resonance allows Raven to sense strong emotional resonance in any objects. Schooled in Secrets lets us recognize secret symbols worn by worshippers of Trigon or other entities. Oddity Identification and Quick Identification help us figure out what magical relics do. Assurance helps us avoid bad dice rolls. Break Curse allows us to break curses. Pretty simple there. And Automatic Knowledge lets us recall knowledge once per round as a free action, so we don't have to waste our actions just learning things. We also get the Spiritual Eye Religion feat, which lets us tell whether or not objects have a soul. And finally, for our Stealth feats, we get Foil Senses, showing how easy it is to not be noisy when you don't have to touch the ground at any point. Whew. Now I know why we don't make spellcasters every week. Let's take a look at the pros and cons and wrap up this behemoth of a video. For our pros, we're a spellcaster. We have access to so many magical spells that we can use to break our foes' minds or just help our allies. Next, we're kind of a nerd, but that's okay because when the team needs help deciphering magic, we're there and can help out. Finally, we're extremely versatile. We have ways to inflict void damage, spirit damage, mental damage, cold damage. And if we don't want to do damage, we can heal our allies or debuff our enemies, letting us play all roles pretty well. For cons, however, we may not be as fragile as one of the Pathfinder casters, but that doesn't mean we have hit points to spare by any means. If a martial character gets a hold of us, we're going to need some assistance, stat. Next, we have a lot of magical abilities, which is always a good thing, but we rely heavily on magic, which means if we ever get in an area with an anti-magic field or other effect, we may start to have issues. And finally, this kind of goes into the fragile point, but our saving throws are not good. We only get expert in reflex and fortitude saves, meaning if an opponent starts throwing magic our way, we may be in trouble.
Hello all, and welcome back to Time to Die's Character Creation, where we recreate your favorite fictional characters in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. We just got a new microphone that we're figuring out how to use, so forgive us if the audio sounds a bit different than you're used to. Today, we're wrapping up the Teen Titans with Beast Boy. Beast Boy serves the Teen Titans with the ability to transform himself into any animal and fight with the abilities they possess. Beast Boy can even transform into alien animals and long extinct animals like dinosaurs, or alien dinosaurs. So, with introductions out of the way, beware of spoilers, and without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so let's take a look at what we need to create Beast Boy. First off, we need to be able to turn into a mouse, allowing us to sneak into areas too small for our normal form. Next, we need to be able to turn into a dinosaur and use our new size to fight off enemies. And finally, let's pick up the ability to turn into every other animal under the sun. And other stars too while we're at it. Beast Boy only really has one power, but you'd be surprised how versatile transforming into any animal in existence is. Alright, so for ancestry, Beast Boy is a little more boy than beast, so we're going to go with the human ancestry. But if you wanted to throw in a custom goblin heritage for green skin, I wouldn't blame you. As a human, we get a boost to constitution and dexterity, 25-foot movement speed, and the skilled heritage, to pick up an extra skill proficiency. For our background, Beast Boy has been fighting crime for most his life. Even before he joined the Teen Titans, he fought crime alongside the Doom Patrol, giving him enough fighting experience to earn the Warrior background. This background gives us a boost to strength and con, as well as training in intimidation and warfare lore. But most importantly, we get the Intimidating Glare skill feat, letting us intimidate foes even in animal form. For our class, we're going to go Druid. Duh. You may have noticed all the other members of the Teen Titans were built in Starfinder, except for Beast Boy. And that would be correct. I tried to make the character using only a Starfinder class, and you can come pretty close with Mystic, symbolizing your connection with the Red, and the Xeno-Druid bond feed, giving you animal form as a signature spell, but Elemental is the only connection that grants you primal spells, and unless Beast Boy can transform into the Avatar and I just don't know it, that connection didn't seem to fit nearly as well as the slam dunk that is the Untamed Druid. And my dedication to making an accurate character is far stronger than my desire to have matching theming. Anyways, as a druid, we only achieve training in fortitude and reflex saves, but we do get expert in wills. Honestly, I'd have switched these if it was possible, but hey, we work with what we've got here. We also get trained in perception as well as the nature skill, plus 2 skills of our choice, and finally we pick up training in simple weapons and up to medium armor. Maybe one day we will build a character we can actually justify wearing any armor heavier than leather to make this useful. For our attributes, Beast Boy often takes punches meant for T-Rexes, and when he turns into a fly, he's never been smushed. So we're going to invest heavily into Constitution. Strength and Dexterity are next. Regardless of what form Beast Boy is in, he can land effective attacks. Next comes Charisma. Beast Boy is the jokester of the team. I mean, at least some people find him funny. And finally, our last positive score is Wisdom. If wisdom comes with age, I'd say based off his wisdom, Beast Boy is probably still a teenager? Oh, that's why they call it the Teen Titans! For our skills, Beast Boy can run like a cheetah and lift like a gorilla. So that's legendary and acrobatics and athletics. We also get Master in Intimidation based solely on the ability to turn into a T-Rex. It's a simple tactic, but it's effective. Stealth will end up at expert. Beast Boy may be loud, but he's pretty good at being a fly on the wall when he needs to be, and not being smushed. For our train skills, we're going to pick up Survival, so that we can transform into a dog and track people down. In Nature, being able to turn into any animal doesn't do us much good if we only recognize, 2 animals. I mean, I know at least 3. At level 1, we immediately make up for not giving Raven the Toughness feat by using our Ancestry feat to get general training, and picking up the Toughness feat as early as possible. This will give us extra hit points and lower the DC of our recovery checks. As a druid, we also get to pick a druidic order. The Untamed Order is all about transforming into different creatures, so I think it fits the character best. It's in close competition with the Wave Order though. The Untamed Order nets us the Untamed Form and Untamed Focus spells. Untamed Shift won't be used for this build, as Beast Boy has a more all-or-nothing transformation style, but Untamed Form lets us make use of our Polymorph spells as focus spells, as well as giving us a +2 status bonus to our attack rolls with unarmed strikes while we're polymorphed. Level 1 druids also get Wild Song, allowing us to speak Druidic, and Voice of Nature, letting us use diplomacy rather than nature when we interact with other animals. If only we had diplomacy. Okay, now let's talk about spellcasting. As usual, we're only covering the spells that fit the character best, so the video doesn't go on all day. I've seen my analytics. I know you guys don't get past the first 5 minutes into a video. Wait, so that means no one's watching right now? Am I in this room alone? I struggled to find good cantrips, as, like I said before, Beast Boy doesn't do much but turn into animals. But then I remembered you get to pick what your cantrips look like. The Deep Breath cantrip lets you hold your breath like a dolphin. Gouging Claw lets you turn into a tiger momentarily and strike. Scatter Scree lets you turn into a dog and kick up dirt. Light lets you turn into a firefly and glow. And not get smushed. Gale Blast lets you turn into a bird and flap your wings really, really hard. For our rank 1 spells, we're going to take Pest Form. This spell lets you turn into any tiny non-flying animal. While in this form, we have an AC of 15 plus our level, a speed of 20 feet, low light vision, and imprecise sense out to 30 feet, and an acrobatic and stealth modifier of +10, unless our own modifier is higher. All at the cost of being unable to make strikes. Weakness 5 to all physical damage, and an athletics modifier of -4. Turns out kittens are not good fighters. At level 2, we become well versed in knowing what creatures are going to throw at us with Wild Mimic Dedication. With this, we get training in a special lore skill called Wild Mimic Lore that we can only use to recall knowledge on what abilities a creature possesses. And when we succeed at a recall knowledge check using Wild Mimic Lore, we get a +1 circumstance bonus to the next saving throw you make against an ability that creature uses. Level 3 increases our Fortitude and Perception proficiency to Expert. That's cool, right? We also get the Incredible Initiative General feat, allowing us to use other animal instincts to jump into the fray before anyone else. But the real bread and butter of this level, and really this build, comes from the introduction of rank 2 spells. With this, we get the Animal Form spell, letting us turn into a variety of animal forms, each with their own speed and unarmed attacks. We also get an AC of 16 plus our level, 5 temporary hit points, low light vision, and sense. Say that 6 times successfully. And an athletics modifier of +9, unless yours is higher. I don't have time to cover all the different forms right now, but I will cover some of the highlights. Deers get a 50-foot movement speed, sharks get a swim speed, and can breathe underwater. Apes get a climb speed, and snakes get a climb speed, swim speed, land speed, and deal an extra d6 poison damage on their strikes. Really, each of the forms have something to offer, except for Bull. Bull form is waste form. Level 4 gets Form Control, letting us stay under polymorph effects that are at least 2 ranks below our maximum rank for an hour rather than a listed duration. Right now, that means we can only stay in pest form for an hour, but later on, our more powerful forms can benefit as well. And we won't get smushed. Level 5 gives us Gloom Seer, letting us see in low light, reflex expertise boosting our reflex saves to expert, and 3rd rank spells. With this rank, we get insect form. Oh no, we gon' get smushed. And upgrading all the stats animal form would give us. The only upside animal form has over insect form is insect form doesn't give us the scent sense successfully. But it does give us the beetle form, with a 2d10 mandible strike that outdamages everything else by far. Don't ask me why the beetle's mandibles are better than the bull's horn, just know that it is. Because bull form is waste form. At level 6, the Brutal Crush feat upgrades some of our battle forms. With this feat, when we hit a creature with a bludgeoning attack granted to us by a morph or polymorph spell, we can hit the creature again in addition to the damage the foe is stupefied to for a round, lowering their mental DCs and giving any of their spells a 35% chance of failing outright. But it doesn't work with bull form. Remember, bull form is waste form. At level 7, we get Quick Feat with the Fleet feat. Our spellcasting proficiency is increased to Expert with Expert Spellcaster feature. We actually get access to 3 more spells at rank 4. Aerial form grants us 4 more animal forms, all of which have a fly speed. Dinosaur forms gives us 6 more prehistoric transformations, and elephant form adds 1 more form to the list? It's just an elephant. Why? At level 8, the Soaring Shape feat lets us use all of our aerial form transformations with Untamed form, getting the bonus to attack rolls and saving our spell slots. At level 9, we get Dark Seer, granting us Dark Vision, and rank 5 spells granting us access to the spell Moon Frenzy. This is like a little mini battle form to reflect Beast Boy's Werebeast form. The spell grants you 5 temporary hit points, a plus 10 feet bonus to your speeds, and a Fang and Claw strike that deal bleed damage on a crit. This isn't insanely useful, and most times it would be better to simply turn into an animal battle form, but the fact that this isn't a polymorph effect does have some uses. At level 10, we can officially use Untamed form to turn into a dinosaur with Ferocious Shape. That's it. Dinosaurs. At level 11, we get quite a few bonuses. Increased attack proficiency with weapon expertise, master will saves with wild willpower. When we go to the vet with robust health, we also get the dragon form spell as our 6th rank spell, so that's cool. The defensive dismissal feat at level 12 grants us a reaction we can use to convert a critical strike against us into a normal success. All we have to do is dismiss a polymorph spell we are under, and at this point, we have plenty of polymorph spells to go around. At level 13, we get the Bounce Back Ancestry feat, meaning the first time each day we get brought back up from dying, we won't gain the Wounded condition, letting us jump back into the fray with no fear of long-term repercussions, just the way comic book characters were intended. All level 14 druids also get armor expertise and weapon specialization, granting us bonus damage, and a higher armor class DC at the same time. We don't really care about any new rank 7 spells, so just heighten your favorite spell here. Mine is Elephant Form, and not Bullform. Bullform is Space Form. Level 14 lets us transform as a reaction with the Reactive Transformation feat, letting us transform into a form granted by Aerial Form if we fall, or Dragon Form should we take elemental damage. Die Hard at level 15 lets us survive till dying 5, which is really not that interesting, so we're going to move on to the Monstrosity Form spell, letting you turn into a cave worm, a sea serpent, or a phoenix, giving you full domination over the land, sea, and air. Level 16 lets us pull off a scene straight off the panel with the Too Much to Swallow feat. With this, when a creature tries to grab us or swallow us, we automatically cast Untamed Form. If our new form is too big to be affected, we break free, but otherwise we can immediately attempt to escape using our new form's stats. By the time we've reached the 17th level, we will probably be pretty comfortable in the air, so we can pick up the Shori Aerialist feat, granting us a +2 bonus on acrobatics checks to maneuver in the air, and a +5 status bonus on fly speeds granted to us by magic. And we get access to the best spell of the game, or at least this build. The Metamorphosis spell lets us take any form that we have access to by any polymorph or morph spell. This functions as if we had cast the spell at 8th rank, except we gain 40 temporary hit points instead of what the spell would normally give us. For the next minute, we can spend a single action to switch out our form to another form, topping off our temporary hit points again, and giving us a whole new range of options to unleash on our foes. This is Beast Boy at peak fighting strength, and we will get stronger over the next couple of levels, but there is nothing cooler than this for the build. At level 19, we get Mastery and Reflex saves, Legendary and Spellcasting proficiency, and a 10th rank spell. See? Like I said, nothing can topple the quick transformations that Metamorphosis lets us perform, but Nature Incarnate lets us turn into Godzilla. So that's pretty cool. In level 20, we get the Toppling transformation. It lets us shove or trip an opponent as a reaction whenever we transform. Okay, well that's the entire build. I'd like to thank you all for watching, and as always, like, comment, subscribe, and
What are you doing in my
that's all the
recording
time we have for
studio?
today, and I gotta go.
What?
Bye.
Get back in the basement. Why did he record a video? What's going on here? He could have at least had the decency to finish the video. Fine, I guess I have to do everything around here. Beast Boy's skill feats serve all the functions of helping him perform in more an animal shape. Feats like catfall and rolling landing make sure it's not an issue if we fall from great heights, and we can even use it to our advantage. Kip Up helps us get back into the fray without needing to waste an action getting up from prone, and Nimble Crawl means we don't have to worry about being prone in the first place. We also get athletics feats to help us turn into a kangaroo. Cloud Jump triples our jump distance, while Powerful Leap lets us clear 10 feet gaps without even needing to attempt to roll in the first place, avoiding the dreaded nat ones. Quick Jump and Rapid Mantle save us on action economy for our jumps, while Slippery Prey essentially gives us our escape attempts agile, and eventually lets us avoid the penalty altogether. Finally, we get Intimidating Glare, ensuring that if we can't speak in animal form, we can still let out a thundering roar to intimidate our foes. For the pros and cons, we definitely hit hard for this build. Whether it's turning into a T-Rex to eat our foes, or turning into a dragon to deliver a powerful breath weapon, damage is one thing we can definitely do. We're also a master of movement, with forms like bird form and pterodactyl form for flight, and shark form and crab form for swimming. Or, if we need to do a lot of different movement speeds, we can turn it into a snake. Overall, this build's main benefit is utility. We have a form for just about anything. Grabbing our foes, fleeing from our foes, flying around our foes. We can fill the gap in just about any team. For cons though, we are mainly reliant on physical damage. We can go into dragon form to deliver a breath weapon, but that's hardly reliable, and other than that, we really only have a couple of forms to give us a little bit of poison damage, in addition to our bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage. Also, we're a bit of a late bloomer. We only get our first combat form at level 3, meaning levels 1 and 2 are a little bit slow on the uptake. And finally, even with all of our forms, we're only really a pseudo-martial character. We don't get the full 10 hit points per level, and we don't really have heavy proficiency in armor either. So we're going to be a little bit delicate on the front lines. At least when you compare us to other frontliners like Cyborg or Starfire.